Well, let's talk about the main event, the real reason we're here, the blow off. We finally made it. Clash of the Champions, New York Knockout, Troy, New York. We want you guys to watch along with us. One of the all time great matches, one of my absolute favorite matches Rick ever had. Pull up Peacock, search for Clash of the Champions. You want to go to season 2, episode 9. This is the ninth Clash of the Champions. Now, it's non title, but you've even said in the promos, you'll vacate the title if you lose. We want you to go to season 2, episode 5. You're 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 17 seconds in. That's 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 17 seconds in of season 2, episode 5, Clash of the Champions 9. We're going to do a quick countdown and then we'll roll it, man. This is going to be fun. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play.
That's what it's all about. Pinfalls are irrelevant. Gary Hart, in the interview we had earlier,
We got the audio there. You see a little mic work.
When he was champion, he was 20 pounds heavier than that. Look at the physique he had on him there.
He looks phenomenal here.
He looks great. Yeah.
Might be the best shape of his career. And of course, this is something that got kicked off at Wrestle War in May. Here we are putting a bow on it. New York Knockout here, Troy, New York, towards the end of the year. Gary Hart around the outside, Tommy Young on the inside. This is good stuff, man. Live on TBS. One chop up and over. Frustrated with the fans. Look at him.
Oh, I can't. I was watching this last night because Dave made me tape. He is incredible.
Meltzer would write back then, if there's ever a Hall of Fame for pro wrestlers, Terry Funk would have long since earned his spot. But the induction ceremony would have to be held on Thursday morning. Funk's farewell match on Wednesday night, an incredibly dramatic I Quit match with Ric Flair, will go down as one of the greatest individual performances in recent memory. And look at him, all over the place.
Brother, I am smacking him as hard as I can.
Yes. The Observer would always poll the readers of the show, Rick, and this is only the second show in Observer history to receive a 100% favorable rating, and it's because of this main event. Think about that. 100% thumbs up, 0% thumbs down. It's crazy.
It's so much fun.
The live crowd here is about 4,000 folks here, heavily papered because, well, even though we've got a great product, we're not the greatest promoters. RPI Fieldhouse here in Troy, New York, 5,800 seater, but 4,000 fans in attendance to see one of the all-time greatest matches, man. And of course, let me guess, we're calling it all in the ring. This is old school stuff, right?
Oh yeah, we never talked.
This show does a 4.9 rating and a 7.8 share overall. That means there's 2.5 million homes watching on any given minute. Of course, these days we talk about the number of people. Back then, it was the number of homes. You see the Coors Light sponsorship around the ring post. Wasn't all bad with Jim Herd. He had some good inroads. And look at him right there on the hardest part of the ring. This is something way ahead of its time. And there's that ringside table where we've seen some folks sitting all night. And
yeah,
they want to get out of the way when Terry Funk's coming near that table. So you guys knew ahead of time, hey, we're gonna brawl all over the place. This is not a technical wrestling match. This is a fight, right?
No, yeah, but we still called it out there because we didn't know. First of all, I didn't know how the crowd would be in New York. Either did he. It's funny. I don't know how they come up with Troy, New York. That makes sense? Out of nowhere?
Yeah.
I mean, why not Atlanta? Why not Atlanta, Georgia? Why not Miami? You know what I mean? It was like Herb was always pushing us to go somewhere where we didn't have that good a TV.
Meltzer would say that this didn't have the number of great moves and athletic high spots that your normal match of the year candidate would, nor was it your typical brawl. It just seemed far more brutal, even without a trace of blood. Is
Yeah,
blood banned in this particular event?
yeah, it was banned. Of course, I would have been bleeding like crazy.
Yeah.
Look at Terry's punches, man. He just dead on.
Meltzer, who's always high on you, says Flair was his usual self, which is to say the best wrestler of this and maybe any era. But this was Funk's night, and he outshined everyone.
Yep.
His intensity, his mic work, and his bumps stole the show. I've always thought this is my favorite Terry Funk match.
Well, he had so many great ones. That's hard to say. I appreciate that. He 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 was just it's hard to explain how great Terry is.
In your pre-match interview, you mentioned that if you were to lose this match, you'd be through in this sport. Meaning it was probably too late for that to be a stipulation. I mean, you're doing it on the same show, but you're trying to add as much oomph to this as you can. 1989 is a tough year for WCW business. The WWF is firmly in control with their mega powers, and Hulk Hogan's become a movie star with no holds barred. And here you see the
Yeah.
use of the mic, which really added a lot of the drama. Do you like an I Quit match where the mic is being used like this?
Oh yeah. I've only been in a few of those, but I think but it takes the right guy to do it. I mean, everything Terry is doing there, he's not missing a lick. His punches look good. He holding the mic in one hand, knocking me out with the other. I mean, there's nothing there that looks. Look at the way he's punching me, and look at some of the stuff you see in the ring today. Come on,
Yeah.
please. That's like I said last week. The fundamentals are just not where they should be. It's all about who can do a moonsault and stuff like that.
Yeah. High spots as opposed to
Yeah,
the
high
old
spots.
down
Yeah,
and dirty.
which sometimes don't even work because the audience isn't in the way they want them to.
The announcing here for this show is Gordon Soley and Jim Ross.
Yeah,
And Meltzer says it was a unique pairing matching the best announcer of the 70s with the best announcer of the late 80s.
absolutely,
Ironically, the main event was a similar matchup. I think that's cool.
absolutely.
Gordon Soley and JR, the best of the 70s, best of the 80s, and here Funk and Flair, best of the 70s, best of the 80s. And who better than Tommy Young?
Yep. There's another guy should be in the Hall of Fame.
For sure.
Look at Terry.
Trying to escape, and you're chasing him, man.
And I am hitting him so damn hard there. He goes, he goes, is that all you got? I'm laughing thinking about him. We've had so much fun over the years. He just swings away at everybody.
What's funny is, he's got a reputation as being, a real tough old bastard to the point where I saw in an interview once where someone said, "Hey, you remember ever asking somebody to ease up because they were too tough? They were going too snug or too hard?" He almost laughed and said, "No, I'd never say some shit like that," which just made me double over laughing. Like,
Say
of
that
course
again
not.
now.
Terry Funk was asked once, "You remember being in an instance where someone was going too hard, they were too snug, they were too stiff, and you asked them to ease up?" And he was almost incredulous. "Well, no, I'd never say some shit like that." I just thought that was so hilarious. Like he was almost offended. Of course not. I'm Terry Funk. Bring it.
Exactly.
And this is cool for you too, because this is a hardened edge for you. I mean, of course you've done bad guy things, but it's rare that we see you in a brawl like this. And man, you're bringing out the best in each other. I know, you
Yeah.
think you had your best matches with Ricky Steamboat and Sting. I don't know how anybody could really argue that. But give me more of this every time, man. This is
Yeah,
fantastic.
I mean, I think the fans miss this kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. If this wasn't Ball Pit on Twitter wants to know if this wasn't an I Quit match, would there have been another quote unquote gimmick match you would have enjoyed to have with Terry?
Well, I like cage matches. Um, when I liked what was that match I had with all the last man standing kind of stuff. I like those. I like all
Yeah,
that stuff. But once again, it all depends on who you're in the ring with. So I don't
right,
think he's not laying the lumber on me there too. You know what I mean? He
for sure.
knows. Ask me how excited I was to take this again.
Talk to me about the pile driver. I saw in 1989, it's the first time I ever noticed, you would hold Terry's boots for the pile driver.
Yeah,
What was the strategy there? Just thinking that it could give you a
because
little
what
more
happened
leverage?
was in Nashville, he literally almost broke my neck. Not on purpose, obviously, but I have more control over myself taking the bump because you land in your head. Doesn't matter how you try. The only guy that could ever do it every damn time you never touch your head was Taker.
Notice everybody, he's got Rick's holding Terry's boots. I don't think I've seen another wrestler do that besides you. Is that something you tried on your own, or is that a technique an old timer gave you?
No, I just tried it on my own.
Man, how good is Tommy Young? Right there with the microphone.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Slamming your head into the mat. That's old school, man. That's fun. That
Yeah, it
looks like a
is.
real fight. You're doing it right in front of Jim Ross and Gordon Soley there. You can see them in the background.
Look at Terry. Oh man.
What a fun presentation. After a night like this, this is sort of his swan song. You know, he was in from May until here. So I don't know, a little more than half a year. I look at you making your way off of the padding around the ring. Gonna pile drive him directly on the concrete again. So a pile driver in the ring and now another on the outside. Remember in storyline now, this all started in Nashville. That put Rick on the shelf for 5 weeks. So he's really targeting the neck, telling a story, working a body part. That's as old school as it gets, right, Rick?
Exactly.
You know, we
Yeah, it
see
just it just seems like something that it's a lost art, I guess. I don't know whether the fans want to see the moonsaults and the high flying stuff more. I mean, not saying it because it's the Queen, but after that, when the Queen does that not
the
moonsault, but
twisting
that
moonsault thing.
corkscrew
Yeah, yeah.
moonsault,
Mhm.
there's nothing else left.
Yeah.
When a girl 5'10" can do that, there's nothing else left for someone to do, in my opinion.
It's remarkable to go back and take a look at how different, you know, everything about wrestling is in 1989. There's not a bunch of signs in the crowd. Nobody's playing on their cell phones. You see some flash bulbs, but it's traditional film cameras. Um, you know, these guys don't quote unquote know the finishes. They're not on, you know, doing any tribalism on social media. It's fun to go back and watch
Yeah.
wrestling in more simpler times. We see Doug Dillinger there at ringside. Is Doug going to be involved in any part of the planning of a match, or is
No,
it something where he's just calling it in the ring like you guys are?
he just slammed me on that table. See, he just ad libbing right now. None of this was talked about.
Right.
There you go. What are we trying now? I probably said to him. That was probably like let's figure out what we're doing here before you kill me again.
Yeah, because that table is propped up with the legs out.
Yeah,
You would never do that easily.
exactly.
He's trying to dive over the legs. My God, Terry Funk.
uh, only Terry, right? Oh God, I'm enjoying this. These bring back big memories, man.
After a night like this, Terry's farewell, is it straight to the bar for you and all the boys and let's
Oh
celebrate?
hell yeah! Are you kidding me?
I've always loved that. He surfed across the table. What a great visual.
See where Gary got so damn mad there.
Yeah, he hopped right up. You have to put him back down. Gary's mad for real.
Yeah, he sure was. Don't get involved if you don't want to be involved.
That's nice to
Look,
know.
huh?
That's nice to know, to have that context, because normally when a wrestler, gives a bump to one of the managers, they stay down. Not Gary. He
Yeah.
popped right up and got the hell out of
Oh, he
Dodge.
was
Nope.
mad. He
Yeah.
was mad. But if he's in the way of the match, he's going to get tagged. That's sorry. That's the way we
That's the way
used to
life
do.
is.
Look at Terry.
I love it.
You got to admit, if you could turn on TV and see this right now with Terry Funk, everybody be watching.
I'll tell you this, I'd rather watch this than most main events on TV.
Just think if we could have bled in this match.
Tony Schiavone made a great point. He said, if you have all this tape, you have all this footage, why not every now and again just say, folks, today you're in for a real treat. We're going to the archives and we're going to do a flashback to 1989. Just show this.
Yeah.
I mean, people would love it.
Well, we'll see. I love it. I'm having fun watching it. I can tell you that. And I sure had fun being part of it.
As a reminder, you can watch all this great stuff over on Peacock. WWE has the entire WCW and WWF library there. Lots of great Terry Funk, lots of great Ric Flair there, all on Peacock. And if you have Comcast, man, it's free. Like, how do you beat free? So check it out. Peacock, man, maybe one of the best values around these days for professional wrestling if you love the old stuff.
Look at it. Isn't he fabulous?
Now we're telling a story. He's trying to work on your neck. You're trying to work
Yeah.
on his knee. You're trying to get that figure 4 lined up, really targeting the knee. By the way, since we're talking about it, a couple of weeks ago, our old pal and listener of the show, Rick Rubin, was on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
And he revealed to Rogan that he is a huge wrestling fan. I actually knew
Yep.
that. I've talked to Rick several times about our
Oh, I
podcast
have too.
over the years. And Rogan sort of made fun of the idea that in a real fight, quote unquote, real fight in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and things like that, that you give yourself up in a figure 4, the aggressor, the person applying the move, is basically giving their opponent an inside heel hook, and it would never work in a real fight. And I think I saw a tweet from you saying, Joe, try it on anytime you'd like. Is that right?
No, yeah. What I was implying was I never implied that it would work in a real fight. I said that if I could put it on him, he couldn't get out of it.
Okay.
If I could put it on him, I put it on linebackers from pro football teams in bars. They can't get out of it. So
I need to see that.
make
That needs to happen.
The best way to resolve that is to have him on his show.
He's been after you to be on for a few years. Back when we did a podcast originally, he was all about it. I actually saw him do stand-up at the Ryman Theater in Nashville, and he was sort of explaining. Yeah,
He's
he
a
was
real
saying,
talented guy. Geez.
phenomenal. And he's got a part of his bit that's even on a Netflix special, I believe, where he talks about pro wrestling and sort of pokes fun at it. But then he goes, some of it's pretty cool. And he says Ric Flair and holds the microphone out to the crowd, and the whole crowd in unison yells woo. And he goes, see, we didn't plan that. And he talked about how cool it is that there's a dude walking this earth who just has a sound associated with him.
Yeah.
That dude, of course, is you and woo. There it is right there.
Thank God. It's a trademark sound.
What's crazy is they play it all the time at minor league baseball games and things like that. And I got a call from a friend of mine a few months ago, and he said, hey man, every time a guy gets a hit in this game, they play the woo. I hope Rick gets paid every time they say woo. And I said, boy, he wishes that was the case too.
Yeah, I sure do. Look at Terry swinging his left hand at me.
Terry Funk, man, one of a kind.
Now, see, I got that on. Look where Terry's leg is. Well, if you get it above the knee, you don't get out of it. I promise you.
Let's track it here, Steve. Let's listen to this.
Snap too. He's got that thing locked completely in. He's got it deep in there.
Yeah, that shin bone right across. right across the chin. Oh my God,
Can be
it
reversed.
can really
It
hurt.
can be reversed.
But, I mean, I'm not applying pressure, obviously. Maybe a little bit.
He said it.
There it
He
is.
said it. I can't believe it.
What a
He's
moment.
such
Look
a
at the
great-
crowd. Look at the pop. Gary Hart is selling it big. What a great visual.
Gary was great. Just don't touch him.
Of course, after the match here, we're going to see the post-match angle. And here's Terry Funk on the mic.
You egg-sucking dog.
Gary, I promised the people I went to. I'm going to shake his hand like I said. You're a hell of a man, Ric Flair. Give it to me better than me. Here it is.
He's got that voice. What a voice, huh?
So there you go. What a moment. What a match. Terry Funk, man, one of a kind, one of the all-time greats. And what a performance that was. When was the last time you saw that match, Rick?
Gosh,
It's been a
I don't
while,
know.
huh?
You know, sometimes when I'm traveling, I'll look at the Peacock Library.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a lot of time to travel. I probably haven't seen that in that much of it for a long time. I hear about it a lot, though. It's funny. No matter when you do these Comic Cons and travel like I do, you really find out who's over in the business and who's not, and what they remember and what they're not. And then of course, if you put up a social media post, you look at the comments, and it's amazing how many people. But being my age, it's amazing how many people can remember back and say, "Boy, I remember your matches." Da 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 da. Like, well, I went with my dad. Much as I hate hearing that, I was 12 years old with my dad. I mean, I hear that every day now. Or I was 5 years old. You were the greatest.
That's so
You're
great.
the man. Hey, you know what the greatest line of all time was?
What's that?
And it's only ironic, but because I hear it. So when Seth Rollins was wrestling Dolph Ziggler, and they had a hell of a match, like 45 minutes. I mean, they had a hell of a match, right? So I text Seth and I go, "Seth, man, great job." I text Dolph, "Man, you guys were great." And he goes, and Rollins texts me back, "Just wanting to be like the man."
Oh my gosh.
I saved it.
I love you for that. Well,
now he don't talk to me.
well, I can guess why. Next week, we're going to be doing Nature's Favorite.
Hey, just want to be like the man.
And don't we all? Don't we all? Next
When
week,
are you
we're
coming to the fraternity house, man? Tell Megan you're on your way.
coming with Dave, and we're going to have fun. And we're not
All
going
right,
to tell
buddy.
anybody.
Well,
It's gonna be
the
great.
fraternity house is waiting. And Chad moved down here now, man. Let's do it.
Listen, Tampa's never going to be the same. Here's the question. You teased us last week that there might be an opportunity to form maybe the Tampa Horsemen. There was a rumor and innuendo that you might be fellowshipping with the greatest quarterback that ever lived, Mr. Tom Brady. We still working on that? Did it happen? And you've been
No,
sworn
Ty
to
told me, actually, I talked to Ty last night. Ty is coming next week, and I'm off all week. So I'm hoping, because it's been made public now, obviously, that they're divorced, and
Yes.
everybody feels I'm not making light of that by any means, but man, would I love to go out with Tom Brady. Be like going out with Joe Namath. And if I was 35, he'd say the same thing about me.
I think that could be its own podcast, Rebounding with the Nature Boy. We'll talk about that and heroes and everything else, and maybe even get a technical next week when we do Ask Nate Anything.
Oh my God, ask him anything.
If you got a question for Rick, he ain't scared. Ask him a question right now at To Be the Man Pod. We'll throw it up on my social and on Rick's social. And we'll see you guys next week right here on To Be the Man.
Woo! Thank you, C-Man. Thank you, Steve. And thank you, Dave. Woo!